Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Peter. Today we are going to be building an IP address tracker with ReactJs and Leaflet for the map. It's going to be a two video series. So we are going to have part one, which is this one we are here, and then the part two. So in this part one, we are going to be building out this UI. Then apart from the map, then in the second one, we'll be building out the map and then we would add the functionalities to it. Hello. So would have people come to the platform and then we would tell them their location and some information about their internet service provider, their time zones, and display it on a map. And then you can also type and search for a particular IP address and they will give information about this particular IP address. So let me simulate that you just come to the platform without having to type in an IP address. So I'm just going to refresh the page. I'll hit on reload. So now I reloaded the page. If you notice, I didn't have to type anything. It automatically finds out my location, my time zone, my ISP, and it displays it on a map. And then there's a marker that shows, if you click on the marker, it shows just where I am. I'll close it up. So you can also type an IP if you know one. So let's type it, the Google IP 8.8.8.8.8, and we hit on search. So if you notice, it also searches for the Google using the IP address. It fetches the Google location, the time zone, the ISP, and also if I click on this, it just says California, which is where Google is based. So we are going to be building this using ReactJs, and then we'll be using the map. We'll be using LeafletJs. We'll be using React Leaflets to help us make it easier. All right. So if you just want to get started and maybe you don't want to follow along as we could, just want to get a finished product, just go to my GitHub. So we go to github.com/ikechukwu-peter/ip-address-tracker. And then the easiest thing to do is just to follow the README here. So if you just follow the README, you'll be going in no time. You'll have everything going as fast as possible. But if you want to code along and see how we built this, then join me and then we'll get going. So to build this project, or this particular project that we are going to build, you can find this whole thing on Frontend Mentor to the frontendmentor.io and then log in with GitHub. So once you can view any of these things without logging in, but log in with GitHub. Once you log in with GitHub, so that you'll be able to download the starter files. Log in with view, then go down. I'm already logged into GitHub. Go down and click on download starter file. So if you are not on, I'm on a free plan, so I am unable to get the Figma and the Sketch, but they are not needed for what I want to do. So I've downloaded the zip folder or file. I'm going to go to show in folder because I want to extract this, and I'm going to click on open with WinRAR. I'm on Windows. You might have whatever you are using to extract from zip files on your own, depending on your own machine. So I'll open with WinRAR, and then I'm going to click on nobody is paying for WinRAR, please. So I'm going to go to IP address track master. That is what the name they gave it. I'm going to click on extracts, and I'm going to extract to my desktop. So I'll click on OK, and then that's it. I'm done. So if I go back to my desktop now, we should have a file. So if you look at my desktop, we now have a file called IP address tracker-master. That's what we have there. So even though I will not really necessarily be using this file, this particular folder, but in this folder you have the file icon that we're using, and I think some images. So for people that are using the free version of Frontend Mentor.io, you'll have the design of how this file should look on mobile, how it should look on desktop, and then active state. You'll find it all inside. Then you have a style guide, which will give you like your Google fonts that you will use, colors and all that. So that is what you can find here and some other things. I'll be using React to build this, like I mentioned earlier. So I'm not even going to use what is it apart from maybe the alpha icon and all that. So to start this project, I'll go to my terminal. I'm going to go to my terminal here, and in my terminal, I'm in my desktop. I want to create a folder. So to create a folder from your terminal, just type mkdir, which is make directory. So I'll give you the folder and I'm going to call it ip-address-tracker. And I'll hit enter, and then I'll have a folder. If you notice, a folder just popped up here right now. So I have a folder here. Now I'll be using yarn, and make sure you have Node.js installed. Of course, if you are writing React, you should have Node.js installed. So just to confirm that, just type node-v, and I have Node here. Now, if you don't have yarn installed, you can run npm install --global yarn, and once you just hit enter, you'll have yarn installed on your system. I already have yarn installed, so I'm not going to run this command. Well, what I would do, just to check it, you can just run yarn-v once you are done installing, or you can check if you already have yarn. Okay, so I have yarn, I have Node, so we can get going. Okay, now what I would do is that I would move into this directory that I created for this React project. So I'm going to say to move into the directory, say cd, which simply means change directory to ip-address-tracker. So that is, so now I'm inside this particular folder from my terminal here, or yeah, terminal. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to bootstrap a React application inside this place, and I'll be using Vite to do that. So if you have not heard about Vite, or if you don't know about Vite, just go to vitejs.dev, and then Vite is a build tool, just like Webpack, just like TurboPack. So if you go to vitejs.dev, you can click on Get Started. I think I have to remove this thing. You click on Get Started. We are not going to take much things here. So you can see a lot of things you can read about Vite.js and everything you can do with it. I am just going to go to the scaffolding parts. So here, to scaffold the project. So you can use these three: npm create Vite at latest, yarn create Vite, and then pnp create Vite. So we'll be using yarn, so I'm going to take this command, and then I'm just going to go to my terminal and I'll paste it there. Now, so I'll hit enter so that I'll start bootstrapping this application. So here we go. So it's asking for a project name. Now my project name is this one here. So since I already have this here, I don't need to type it again. What I'm going to type is just to type period slash, which simply means the current directory. So I want you to use the current directory. So I would hit enter, and it's asking me to select my framework, and I'm going to say, is it vanilla, Vue, or React? I'm going to use React. So I'll just use your arrow keys to go down and up. So I pick React. It's asking me if I want to use TypeScript or just JavaScript. I want to use TypeScript, so I'm going to pick TypeScript. So now it has done with the scaffolding. All I need to do is to run yarn, which is equivalent to say yarn install. So I run yarn, and it's all right. So while it's doing that, let's take a look at the folder that we got from yarn. So I'll go down here. So I'm going to click on the project that we have. I'm going to right click, and then I want to open with code. So I want to open it up with VS Code. We could do that from the terminal too, but at the point at that time we were installing something. So our installation is done. I don't know if you noticed that our installation is done from here. So this is what we got from Vite. So Vite has helped us to bootstrap a React project using TypeScript. So we have our git ignore, and I know we are going to have an environment variable. So let me quickly add that one here, so I'm going to add a comment and say environment. So anytime that we create .env, we don't want it to be pushed. So I've added that there to be tracked by our GitHub. So I've added that there. And then we have package.json. In our package.json, if you look at our name, it says IP address, the name we gave it, the type is module, the version is 0.0.0, private is true, whatever. You can change these things as you like. Then we have our scripts that will be running. So when we run yarn dev, it's just equivalent to like saying yarn start in maybe like React app. Then if you want to build yarn build, and then we are using TSC. So if you notice earlier on, we saw something like TypeScript plus SWC. We're using TSC here, not SWC. And then you can also preview. Then we have our dependencies. We have React and React DOM. Then we have our dev dependencies. We have TypeScript, we have Vite, we have at types React, and which helps with our typing. All right. Currently we don't have any linting, but I don't think we actually need linting. Then we have tsconfig.json, which are just TypeScript configurations for our project. Then tsconfig.node.json, stick configurations. Then we have fit config. So here is maybe you have some configuration you want to do for fit. You can come here and plug it in here. Then you have yarn log. So these are the things that we've got from Vite. And then let me open up the terminal and run the command so that we can go into the source and look at what we have. Okay, so this to my terminal and run. I'm still in the folder, remember. I'm just going to run yarn dev. Now once I run yarn dev, okay, so I have this ready for me in localhost 5173. I don't like this particular localhost address, so I'm going to change that. So how do we change that? I'm going to Control C, which simply means terminate. I want to clear the terminal. And I'm going to run yarn dev. To pass a port, I say dash dash port. Then I say I want it to be on port 3000. So that is how we pass a port to Vite. So I'll hit enter. And then it's now running on localhost 3000. So if I can just click from there, open up. Oh, I terminated again. Let me just leave it like this and type it in my browser. All right, so Vite is running, and I go to localhost 3000. So if I go to localhost 3000, so this is what just like a kind of a template that comes back with Vite. Even though we don't need any of these things here, we'll be removing everything. All right then. So what I'm going to do now is to clean up this whole thing. So if you go to the public, you have the Vite.svg, which is just the Vite logo. I think. Let me split this screen. So I think that's just the Vite logo here. Yeah, it is not even I think it is the Vite logo. If you go to source and you go to assets, you see the React.svg, which is just this React logo that is being animated here. Then we go to app.css. So let's do a cleanup. Let's do a cleanup. Let's start with index.css. So let's go to index.css. I'll open it up. So first of all, when we get to index.css, I'm going to change this to be color of black. So I'm going to say 000, which is black, and I'm going to change this to white. The background for the whole body is going to be FFF, which is white. I'm just going to leave these guys apart from this line that I will come back to change. And then I would just wipe out everything here. Everything be removed. So the only thing we have here is this for now. So what we're going to do is let's go to the top. So if we scroll to the top, let's add a generic star, which simply means select everything on the page. And what we're going to do, we're going to say that everything should have a padding of 0, margin of 0, and then we want to say that the scroll behavior is smooth so that it doesn't snap when we are scrolling. And then we also see box/sizing to be border box. So we set this. Then the next thing I want to also set is I want to start HTML body together by just putting a comma, and I will say that the position should be relative. Position relative. I'm going to give it a height of 100% and then a width of 100%. So this is all that we do here for now, and then we'll come back later to change the font family. We could do that straight away, but let's finish up with the cleaning up. All right, so let's go to app.css. So in the app.css, we will just select everything, right click, and do we don't have a delete button. Oh, wow, can't find. Okay, just simply delete, please. So I delete that. So I want to remove everything here, and I want to increase this to, instead of 1280 to be 1440 pixels. So that is all that will be in the app.css. So we've cleaned that up. Now let's go to main.tsx, which is like index.js for some I think if you are using create.craft. So I think we're not doing anything here. So let's go to app.tsx. So if you go here, first of all, I'll remove this React logo. We don't need React logo. So remove that. And then I will just remove everything here. We don't need anything in this place, apart from the first div. So just leave the first div, clear everything. And also we don't need the states counting. So we'll just remove that. So we have cleaned up here. We'll just ignore this for now. We're using this use till later. So let's leave it. So we have been able to clean up the whole thing. The other thing we need to do is let's go here and remove this React.svg. So we'll not be using it. Let's go to the public too and also remove this Vite.svg. We'll also not be using it. So we have cleaned up the whole project. So it is now for us to begin to do our own thing. Okay, so I've gone ahead to add the images from frontend mentor.io. So if you go to our public folder now, you have the favicon dash 32 by 32.png. If you go to our asset folder, now we have icon-arrow.svg, icon-location.svg, pattern-bg.png. So these are the images or whatever SVG that we'll be using that we get from frontend mentor.io. Alright, so now that we have this, we now have to, let's first of all fix the index.html because we have deleted the favicon. So let's go and fix that. So let's go back here and I will change this title to think frontend mentor and then go to this particular line for the favicon and we'll change that to favicon dash 32 by 32.png, and then we have changed that. So we'll just close this particular file. All right then, so I think we now have to set up and let's move on. All right, so let's look at what we want to build actually. So let's take, so if you look at this, we need to have this item here. We need to have background with this pattern here. We need to have like a title. Then we also need to have a search field, a button, and this overlay that displays this particular information before the map. So these are the things that we need to do. So how do we go? First of all, we'll build out this part without the map. then we will then add the map to it. So let's get started. All right. So one other thing that we need to add to our index.css is the font from Google that was provided. So let's go to Google. So if you go to fonts.google.com/specimen/rubic. So I'll also provide links to these things I'm mentioning in the description. So if you go to that, then we need to pick 400, we need to pick 500, and then we need to pick 700. We need to pick 700. All right, so to include that, we just go to, I like to use the style do on here. So I'm going to copy the from the import here. So you copy. I'll go to my index.css. I'm going to paste it at the first thing here. Just right click and paste. All right, then I also need to go back to this place and then get the font family here. Then go back to this place and replace this font family here with it. So, and with that, we are done. So let's get back to the project. So I'm going to create a component here. Sorry about that. Component. And this component, I'm just going to have home folder. So home. And in the home, I would have, I'm just going to say index.tsx. At this point, I'm just going to say export const home is equal to, we'll modify this later, and I want to return null for now. Return null. So we'll have this one, then we'll have another one in the another file which we're going to call map.tsx. So we're also going to return null here. Export const map is equals to, so we'll say return null. All right, so these are the two files we'll be using to build the whole thing. So let's go back to the app.tsx and let's import the map, the index, sorry, what's it called? The home. Let's import it there. So let's go to, let me see if I can just use this. So I'm going to render home. Okay. So in case yours didn't auto import, it is in /component/home. So that is where we find this. So I like to put these components up above the CSS. So that's what we have there. All right, now, so let's get to the home and let's start building this particular project up. So let's get it. So I'm going to go to the index, which is here. And of course, I'm going to remove this, and then I would have some divs. So I'm going to give it, I call it I'm going to be using image to give classes. So I'm going to say div dot parent. So the period simply means it's going to be a class of parent. So I'll hit enter, and then it has a class name of parent. So I'll be using that to write many of the stubs we'll be writing. I could actually move the map outside because the map is not really, I don't think it has anything to do with the home actually. So let me just move the map into the component itself. So map is now inside component instead of being inside the home folder. So we have the parent. Now inside the parent, let me go back here. Would have a title. Play this one. All right then. So we have a title. So we're just going to have like a h2 that says that has a class of title, and it's going to say IP address tracker. IP address track. Then would have, I'm going to have the input field and the button be inside the form. So the form, I'm going to give it a class of search container. So search underscore container. So I have a form. There is no action for this form. Okay, so the next thing, I'm going to have the input field that has a class of, I'm not going to give it a class of input. And let me give it some stuff, some properties. So it's going to have a placeholder of search for any IP address or domain. So let me quickly shrink this a bit. Okay. What else do we have? Then we have the button. So the button is going to have a class. The button will have a class of search button, search underscore button. And then it simply say, okay, there's going to be an icon there, so I'm just going to say G for now. Or add an icon there later on, and it's going to be of type submit. So that once you click on it, it submits the form. Type submit. Then the next thing that I need to build out is this particular thing here. So I need to have a wrapper. So I'm going here. We need to have a wrapper for that. The four places. If I hit enter, so we have, this is what we need. We're going to have IP address. So I'm just going to put kind of like a dummy data there, 8.8.8. The second one, I'm going to have location. So location. I'm going to have dummy data again. We'll say California. California. Can I spell California? US. Then the last one, second to the last, you're going to have time zone. And then we'll just add UTC dash something 0800. Then finally we'll have ISP, and then all these are dummy for now, dummy data for now. Google LSC. All right, so I think we have everything that we need for this particular page in terms of we creating this page, apart from the map. So we'll finish up with this one first, then we will go to the map. All right, so what we need to do now is to style the page. We need to style the page. So let me just make this big. So we need to style the page. Okay, so let's go to our work here and enlarge. So I'm going to create a folder right inside the home here. I'm going to call it home.css. So home.css. And that is where we'll be writing our CSS. So the parent, first of all, the parent, let's select the parent class. We are going to give it a position of relative. So it has a position relative. Now, why we are giving it a position relative is because if you look at this guy here, because of these elements here, we want to position this one absolute so that we can, when we give it a position of absolute, we'll be able to direct it wherever we want it to be, where we want it to stay. So we have to give the parents a position of relative so that this absolute will be in relation to the parent. So moving on, we also say we have to give it a background color. So in case maybe because I use an image, let's say the image doesn't load up. So let's give it a background color of this. So let's start selecting background image. So we want to give it an image. So URL. So where can we find the image? We are going to come out of this directory. So say // we come out of the components // then we move into the assets folder and we go to pattern dash pg.png. So this is where we'll find the image, and then we say background position. We want it to be in the center. Background size, not cover. Background size cover. What am I saying? And then we don't want any repetition, so say background repeat. I'll say no repeat. I'm going to give it a Z index of 8. So I just want it to be below whatever I'm going to give to the info wrapper. So I save now. Let's take a look at what we have. So okay, we have not linked the CSS. So let's link the CSS to the HTML to the index here. So let's import the CSS. So we'll say import. Since the CSS, we're just going to say ./home.css. All right. So now we have that. Let's take a look at what we have, and then this is what we already have here going for us. All right, now so let's move on to style this title, and then the buttons and the input. Then we'll come back for this last one. All right, so remember the class name is title. Class name is title. Where is it? So let's select the title. So say title. I'm going to give it a color of white. I'm going to give it a padding of 1 rem top and bottom, then 0. We don't want anything on the left and right. Just give it a font size. We are starting for desktop screen right now, 1.2 rem. Then let's give it a font weight of 700. Remember our font weight that we picked up from Google Fonts. Text align should be center, so we want it to be in the center. So if you take a look at what we got now, we already have that. So let's style the inputs. So let me take a look at their class names again. Let's start the search container, the input, and the button. Okay, so we want to style the search container. The search underscore container. So we start with a padding. Let's give it a padding, a general padding everywhere. So we're going to say 1 rem at the top, 0 rem left, I guess, all right, 4 rem at the bottom. So we want a lot of space at the bottom, but we don't want any space left and right. That is why we have 0, 0. We want little one at the top, but left and right we want no spacing. We want no padding. Then bottom we want a huge amount of padding. So we're going to say display flex. We have 20 elements there, so we want to say display flex, which will align them. We'll say align to center, align items in center, which will put them vertically in the center. Justify content, we also want it to be center, so which will put them horizontally in the center. Then we also have to do, because if we save right now, let's take a look. It's kind of very small, so let's just, we don't want the search container to take up the whole width. We don't want the search container to take up all the width across from this edge of the screen to the other edge of the screen. So we're going to give it a width. Let's say width of 30% for the desktop screen. So let's say 30%. And we're going to give it a margin of 0 auto. So 0 left and right. I'm sorry, top and bottom, auto. So we want it to stay in the middle. So with that being, let's now, you might not notice any really difference right now, but let's now style the input field. So select the input, so say dot input. Everything is a class. So first of all, we don't want any border. So say border none. We don't want any border. We say outline none. We still don't want any outline. So when somebody clicks on it, we don't want any dark thing to show. Right now, if I go back, if I click, you see this dark border here will take care of all that. Don't want anything like that to be showing. All right, so we say we'll give the background color of white, and then we give it a color of gray. Couldn't really figure out, but I'll just say gray. Then we'll give it a padding of 0.8 rem. Okay. All right then, and then we'll say we want to curve the we want to curve. If you look at this place, this particular top left is curved and then bottom left is curved. Then this bottom top right and bottom right is ignored. So I want to curve these two parts here. So what we're going to do is we'll say border dash top dash left radius. We want to curve it by 0.5 rem, and then we'll do the same thing for the bottom, border dash bottom dash left, and I'll say 0.5 rem. So that will curve the input field, and I'll also give the input field a width of 100%. 100%. So if I save now, I will take a look. So this is our input field now. So let me see. So let's add to the input field. Let's add autofocus so that once you just load, it focuses on the input field. So that, yeah. All right, let's go back to here. Let's style the button. Let's style the button. Let's finish up. Even though we have this now, let me see. Okay. Okay, let's change the cursor to pointer when you want to click on the input. That's one of the requirements from Content. So let's go here and see if you let's select the input field and we'll say hover. So if you hover on it, let's select it again and see if you focus on it, and let's select it again and see if it is active. If it is active. All right, so what do we want to do? We want to say cursor should be pointer, and then now obviously we still don't want the border and the outline, so I'll just copy this one here. I don't know if they show, but we still don't want it no matter what. So keep that in place. Now let's style the button. So it has a class of .search underscore button. So what do we let's style it first. We'll go back. I think we have forgotten the so we don't want any border. We're going to give it the same padding as the input field, which is 0.8 rem. We will also now for the button, we want to reverse what we did for this guy here. So for the input field, we curved the top left and bottom left. But for the button, we want to curve the top right and bottom right. So this going to my right and this to my right. So we'll just reverse what we did. So we'll say border dash top dash right. Initially we wrote, oh, I didn't write correct. Border dash top dash right radius. We'll say 0.5 rem, the same unit used for the other one. Then border dash bottom dash right radius 0.5 rem. So let's give it a background color of black, and let's give it a color, the text color to be white. So yeah, I think that's what we got. And then let's save first to come back and do the hover. So if you look at it now, we now have that. So here is curved, here is curved, here is curved, here is curved. So let's deal with hover state for input. It is one of the things we have to deal with. So for the search button. So if you hover, or let's say search button again, if you are you focus, or search button again, if you are active, if it is active, what do we want to do? We want to change the background color to HSL, hue, saturation, and lightness. We want to be 0 for hue. We want it to be 0% for saturation, and for the lightness, we want it to be 17%. So these figures I'm writing comes from the front end method side, so it's not like it's not flying out of my head. So cursor should be pointer. So that is that. Now, one other thing I need us to do for the input field is to style the input placeholder. So let's give it. So to style a placeholder, you have to put double colon. So placeholder. So that is to select it. I mean to select a placeholder. It is not in the same class as over active and no. So we give it a color of gray and we give it a font weight of 500. So let's make it a bit lighter, 500. And then we say, I think that's all we need. Let's just add overflow visible. Should we need that? So with this, we are done with the input field and the search button. So if you take a look, we'll have the only thing missing is that we need an icon to be here instead of G. But before we go back to that, let's just style this guy here. Let's style it and then we'll come back to that. So let's style the info wrapper. So dot info underscore wrapper. So we're going to say display of flex, obviously. We are going to say justify content to be space between. We are going to say align items to be center. Also going to say that the background color should be white. Then we'll say that border radius. We want to give a border radius that is just similar to what we were using. Sorry. Okay, so we'll give a padding of 2 rem everywhere, top, bottom, left, and right. We'll give a width. Let's give it a width of 70% so that it doesn't go everywhere. Let's also say, let's give it a box shadow. Box shadow. Let's give a box shadow of, should we say 1 pixel, 0 pixel, 5 pixels, 0 pixel, RGBA, red, green, blue, alpha, 0, 0, 0, and then the transparency is 0.75. So that is that. And then we would also now use, if I save now, let's take a look before I even do what I want to do. So this is what we got. This is what we got. But remember, we need to position this absolutely so that we can have it like this. And then we want it to cut across even into the map and into its parent container. So let's now go ahead and say position absolute. Position absolute will say left is 0, right is 0, top is 0. Now I'm going to give it a high Z index so that make sure it stays at the top. And then I want the element to be spaced out, so I'm going to give them a column gap of 2 rem so that they space out in the column. So that is that for this one. I also need to, let me just show you before I do what I want to do. So this is what we have. Is it at the top? It's kind of covering everything. So we need to add a margin. We need to add a margin top that will bring it down at some point, and then we have the left and right will be auto so that it will be at the center. So let's add margin and we'll say 8 rem, and the left and right will be auto, so that will make it to be centered. So if I save, you see that. So margin top, the spacing from here to here is 8 rem. Then auto is just going to take 70% that we gave it, then distribute the remaining 30% between this side and this side. So that will be like 15 here, 15 here. So this is what we have. Then if you look at this place, we have a lining, we have a line here, and we have a line here. Then the colors are different. So let's style those ones. I think I can close this up now. So let's style that. Now let's get to that. So if I scroll down, still starting for desktop here. So let's select the div that contains everything. The info, we're going to call it text align. Let's center. So it'll be in the center. So let's select the H2 now. Info H2. The H2 that is inside this info div. We want to give it the color of black. And sorry, not black. That color was not black. It's gray. Color of gray. And then I want to give it a font size of 0.8 rem. All right then, and then we want to give it a font weight of 700. So 700. So let's select the strong dot info strong. So what I want to do is it's going to have a color of black, even the strong look black already, and a font size of 1 rem. It's a bit higher than H2. Font weight of still 700. So with that, then with that in place, let's take a look at what we got. So this is what we got. Now we need to add the line at these 3 places. So to add the line, let's do it here. Let's select the div dot info. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the nth of type. Now we're going to say nth of type n plus 2. Why we are saying n plus 2 is because we want to ignore the first one. We want to ignore the first. We don't want this one to have a line. So I will show you. Let's give it the line. So how do we give it that line? So we say border left because it is at the left. So border left is going to be 1 pixel solid gray. I'm using gray a lot. 1 pixel solid gray, and we're going to give it a padding of let's say, what should we use here? Let's say 0 top and bottom, 1 rem left and right. So if I save now, if you look, just take a note of this, n plus 2. So now we do not have a line at this particular place here. But if I say something like, let's say n plus 1, so it's just going to be there. It's going to start from the beginning. So it starts from the beginning to this, to all of them. But n plus 2 will skip the first one. So I want to skip the second one too, I put n plus 3. So, and it skips the second one too. But I want it to be here. So you can even do something like n odd. You want it to be on only the odd. So if I go here now, this is 1, this is 2, 2 is even, this is 3, 3 is odd, and it starts it. And you can also do even here, but I won't demonstrate that. So I'm just going to say n plus 2. So that is just to skip the first one. So now we've been able to style this whole thing looking nice. What we now need to do is to style for a smaller screen. So I'm going to shrink this a bit, and you can see that it looks crazy. So let's go to 768 and just change a bit of our styling here. It is 768. Just look at what we have here, looking really crazy. So let's quickly do that. So I'm going to see if I can put this on this side. And oh, okay, let me see. Where is my okay? So to start for responsiveness, we have to use media query. So it's at media only screen. So we're only styling for screen, and max dash width. So we're using max width because we started from desktop first. So once it gets to this particular width 768 going down, we want to apply this styling. So let me start with the search container. So dots, or let me start with the info wrapper. I think dot info wrapper, which is these guys here. Let me refresh this and see if something is actually wrong. I'm seeing 75%. Let's say 100%. All right. Let's just go. So the info wrapper is this one here. Let's start there. Let's just do some styling and see what's going to happen. All right. So we are going to say flex direction is column. So we want it to be, so it is column. And we also want to give it a width of 80% instead of 70% that we initially had there. I think we might have to do one or two things, but let me just do for the search container. Let's just add a bit of search container. Let's add a bit of style for it. So what do we want to do? We just want to increase the width to 80%. So yeah, I'll be back to take a look at that. And then what else do we want to do here? Let's tie this guy, this placeholder again for the input field. We just want to reduce font size. Okay, I'm going to give it a font size of 0.899. Right. So let's remove the lines that is showing. So dot info. So once we get to desktop, we don't want, oh no, we don't want the line to show. So dot info ends. I thought this guy was going to pop up end of dash type and then of n plus 2. So what do we want to do? We don't want any border at this point. So border left is going to be 0 and padding all around is going to be 0. Okay. So let me quickly, so let's start for a smaller screen. Okay, so let's pick, so we have 425. Let's pick 475 as our media query point. So media we'll say only for screen, and then a max width is and max width max is going to be for 475 pixel. So what do we want to do for that? So the search container, I think we already gave the search container 80%. Let's reduce the input placeholder. Let's reduce the font size there. So I'm going to say font size, oh, caps lock, font size, font size to be 0.599 rem. Okay, now let's go to the info wrapper, underscore wrapper, and let's give it a margin. Let's give it a width of 80%. Let me see what we have here already. I think we have 80% already. Let's just give it a gap of 0.6 rem, and then yeah, I think that's all that we'll do here. Okay, something is wrong. I have made an error in selection here. So if I remove that, so let's see if That fixes it. Okay, so that fixes it. So we now have this one ready to go. Okay, so what we now need is, let's add the icon for this, and then let's add the map. Let's add the icon, and then let's add the map for this one here. So let's quickly install React icons. So I'm going to go back to my terminal. I will just kill it. Very easy. So I'm going to say yarn add react dash icons. So I have to install a couple of packages. So I need leaflet. Let me just do that right now. And I also need react dash leaflet. So I'm using that for the map. So yeah, and I'll hit enter. So once this is done, I also need to install types for leaflets. So I'm going to say yarn dash t at types leaflet. Because leaflet doesn't come with a type inbuilt. All right then. We'll finish up the whole project in the part 2. Thank you for staying tuned. Watch out for part 2. See you in the next video.